Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our latest installment in our Longevity Lounge event. I'm your host, Leah Steele, and I'm super excited to be here and be joined by my friend, Jamaica Williams. And we are going to be chatting all things science of sobriety and CBD and CBG and cannabis and a whole lot of amazing, interesting things. But I am going to get this streamed into the places. So just give me a moment. Almost there. Yeah. Let's see here. Make sure we're streaming live. We are. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hello. Sorry, I was muted.
That's all right. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Amazing. Let's give it just maybe 2 minutes. We can chat
Sure.
and then we'll officially kick off. I just notified the people, so we'll give them a second to arrive. As you are hopping on, let us know where you are calling in from. We've got Michigan, my birth state, my state of birth, North Carolina, amazing. Jamaica is in Arizona. I'm in
Yeah.
Bali, Indonesia. Okay. I'm rising and vibing. I'm rising and vibing so much that my shirt even says it today, actually.
I'm actually rising in the evening because I have a lot to do.
A little birdie told me that Caffeine Free is getting released on Monday.
That
So,
stuff saved me during my surgery.
yeah, so that's exciting. And it will be here and available for all.
Yay.
Forevermore.
Awesome. That's cool.
Which is great. I need to grab my little, oh, let's see. I actually do want to also just double check. We've been having so many like last minute people wanting to pop into the group. We're just shy of 300 people in here, which is
I
amazing.
saw that.
Okay. Virginia's in the house. Sister Vic. All right. Well, we're 5 after the hour. I like to give people a little bit of grace because I'm often showing up so late to these things. So I'm going to do just a little bit of a kickoff because I am recording this series as part of the relaunch of my podcast, House of Health. So if you are not following me in all the places where podcasts are streamed, then definitely come check out the show. And so I'm going to record a little bit of an intro here and welcome you guys again, as if it's going to be on the podcast, because it is. So give me just a minute and we will do that. And then we're going to just kick into this. We have so much to cover today and I'm so excited for this conversation. Hey, and welcome to a special edition of House of Health. We are here in the Longevity Lounge with my friend Jamaica Williams, and I am so excited today to be talking about the science of sobriety. And we're going to be going into a lot of things, actually. We're going to be talking about a really unique cannabis compound called CBG, which is kind of referred to as like the mother of the cannabis plant, or the stem cell, if you will, of the cannabis plant. So we're going to be chatting about that. We're going to be sharing how cannabis, specifically CBD, CBN, CBG, is being used in addiction treatment, sort of the evolution of the addiction treatment movement, the rise of an alcohol-free movement that we're seeing in the online space. And so if you're somebody who is sober curious, if you are somebody who has contemplated quitting drinking, if you're getting older and you're not feeling so good after a drink or a couple of drinks, this podcast might be for you. If you're somebody who runs anxious or runs, has a lot of anxiousness or anxiety in your life, you definitely want to check out this episode. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my personal story of basically growing up in treatment centers, actually addiction treatment centers, and choosing to go alcohol-free 16 months ago, and how that's been in my life, and how cannabis, particularly CBG especially, has played a role in really helping me overcome the anxiousness that came along with that decision to stop drinking. And Jamaica has an incredible story that she's going to be sharing with you as well. She is way more of an expert than I am when it comes to all things cannabis and CBD and CBN and CBG. So we're going to be hearing from her. And then I think just riffing about whatever else happens to come up along the way. I'm really enjoying this series. And so if you haven't listened to the other episodes in this series, definitely go check them out. We've been having some epic interviews all week. We will continue to have interviews coming out. So if you haven't joined us in the free Facebook group, the House of Health Longevity Lounge, then you definitely want to do that so that you can make sure that you can see all the videos and get all of the information on all the incredible products that we're sharing this week as well. So with that, I would love to introduce you to my friend and business partner, actually, Jamaica Williams. Jamaica, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm so flattered that you asked me. I'm excited to be here. I love the whole thing, everything, different subjects every day, and being in my late 40s as well. I feel like this is just a needed space. These are talks we all need to be having. We're going into the second half of this decade, right? So it's time to up our game on like wellness in general. Let's figure out what hasn't worked, let's find what does work, and let's move forward.
I love that. So, and on Instagram, you are actually Sober CBD Mom.
Yes.
So I love that. And I just, obviously, like a lot of my followers and the people in my world are moms. And and you and I obviously have had a lot of offline conversations about being alcohol free and how that's impacted the lives of our families and our children. And so I'd love to just talk about some of that as well. But can we just start off with you sharing a little bit about your personal journey, your personal story, and sort of what brought you to this place that you are right now, why you decided to embrace recovery and sobriety, and how, tell us a little bit about how cannabis has played a role in that for you as well.
Sure. Okay, so I am not as lucky as you. I admire people like you who are able to quit drinking because they want to get healthy. I wish I was that person, but I'm not that person. I am through and through an addict. If I pick up a drink today, we are in trouble tomorrow. And so I'll be honest with you, I've thought about this a million times. To this day, I cannot pinpoint anything, feeling, emotion, action that drove me to get help. Other than I knew that it was, when you're an addict, you know that you need help somewhere along the line, well before you ever ask for the help. You know things you're doing are not normal. You know that taste testing the entire Crown flavor line at 7 o'clock in the morning at work probably isn't the best idea, right? But you do it anyway. It becomes this habit. So I came to a point where I realized I definitely needed to quit. So I attempted to do that on my own multiple times, doing different things, various things. I had my mom babysit me. I did all the things everybody's ever talked about. I had the checks and balances in place. I went to the meetings. I did all the mindset work. I talked to coaches. But my issue was I could not get past the physical anxiety that was going on. So the physical symptoms that were going on in my body because of the drinking and the heightened anxiety. If you haven't, I feel like most of us know at this point that alcohol induces more anxiety, even though it feels like at first that it's not. It's actually making it worse. That stomach ache you get, yeah, I mean, it's from the alcohol, but it's also from the anxiety that the alcohol has created. So the physical symptoms for me were so, so, so intense that I couldn't get past that to get to the mindset piece, to make the changes. But deep inside of me, I wanted to make that change. And I'm one of those people, like, once I decided, I just kind of like, all right, let's just do this. Let's just get it done, right? So I drunk on the couch one night. I looked up a couple different rehab facilities. I'm like very, very particular when I talk to people about this, but I was very specific. I knew exactly what I needed in a rehab facility to be successful. I knew what I needed to stay there, be happy, be comfortable, and be able to be open to just do all the work and do all the change. So I did that, and about a week later, I was in treatment. I went through full 30 days in California. Um, I came back with a bag of medication. It was probably 13 different medications, anxiety, anti-craving, you name it. I was on it, gabapentin, all the things to up all the levels back to where they needed to be. And I would say about a year after being home and in treatment, my stress level started to raise. My husband and I took on our grandchildren. Well, it was one grandchild at the time. My daughter also suffers from some mental illnesses. And so we had taken on our granddaughter at the time. That quickly became two grandchildren. And as that stress started to go up, I'll never forget the thought of, oh crap, stress is going to come back to my life again. I didn't just get rid of it in rehab. Like, oh yeah, okay, life is still going to go on. I actually have to figure this out. And that's the thing, as an alcoholic, and you don't have to be an alcoholic to have this mindset. But I thought it was helping me, and I had finally figured out that I had to figure out how to deal with stress in a way, that was going to be healthier, right? And I think there are a lot of us that need a chemical helper of some sort. And I don't mean chemical as in like it has to be an unnatural chemical, but some of us need help. We actually need something to go in there and kind of like, make the adjustments and give us that. What I like to tell people is it gives your brain the ability to open up so that you can do all that mindset work. It's really easy for people to say, oh, you just need to make the decision, this, that, da, da, da. There's a lot more to it than that. So I was on all these medications. I started having a lot of different side effects. I still have terrible, terrible nerve pain that my doctor assumes is from the gabapentin. It's a very, very common side effect from long-term use. And I just got to a point where I was stable and I realized I wasn't feeling my best. The stress was still getting to me, even with all of those medications. But I was carrying that thing around like a security blanket. Like if we left town, anything, that thing was like, I made sure I was like backed up on refills and everything. But I just got to a point where I was like, okay, I gotta figure something else out. And I thankfully had a friend from treatment who had found a USDA certified organic CBD. So she starts talking to me about it. I kind of ignored her. I think what most people do. I kind of wrote it off. And I'll be honest. I thought, because I used to be a big THC user, my thought was, why would CBD work if THC didn't work? Because in my head, THC was king and CBD was not. What I learned is THC is to feel and CBD is to heal. So CBD really is king. THC is actually a cannabinoid underneath in the family of cannabinoids, which we can talk about more later. So I started doing research about, why it's necessary to have clean CBD, how to find clean CBD, what the rate of clean CBD was even out there, which is not a lot. And I found one that I thought would work for me. And thankfully it did. It had a certificate of analysis and all the things. And I started to notice like a genuine like relax. And I don't mean, I think when people think that, they think like a stony relax, like I just had a glass of wine relax. Like I just mean like I can breathe relax. I'm not having panic attacks relax. I'm not crying in the corner relax. I can take on situations as they come. All of a sudden, you don't notice at first. It's something you notice eventually. Someone points it out to you, or maybe you stop and then you figure it out. But I just was fascinated as to why was this working and the meds were not working. And at the time, I was using a vape, so like a nicotine vape, and I was trying to quit, and I was having issues. I had just started this CBD, maybe a week into me trying to quit. And about 2 weeks into the CBD, I noticed all of a sudden my food cravings, like I wasn't grabbing sugar like I wasn't having to have a soda all day, every day like I had been. But the biggest thing that stood out to me was one day I hadn't grabbed my vape for like the entire day. And it dawned on me like maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I was like, whoa, this just helped me deal with a very difficult craving that I've been struggling for like a few months to quit this nasty habit. And that's what made my wheels start to turn. Like, how can this help people? If this can help the amount of people out there who will not go get treatment. And yes, the excuse is always, I can't, I this. And then the amount of people who really don't have the resources to get treatment are so massive. This blew my mind. And I was like, this can help people get to the point that I had to get to chemically and quit. Whatever it is. I don't care if it's opioids, and I don't like to tell anybody like this is gonna quit for you. In fact, if you go in my post as like the number one thing that I always say, this is not going to quit for you. But is it going to open the door so that you can do that mindset work to make that change? Yes. Do you still have to commit to the change? 100%. So that's really like what led me to really diving in and really getting into the science of it, the different compounds, what they were all used for, the differences, the amounts of THC, all that good stuff.
Awesome. So thanks for sharing your
Yeah.
story. And so just to give a little bit of background on my history when it comes to addiction treatment, addiction recovery. I come from two lines, both on my mom's side and my dad's side, of alcoholics and drug addicts. And my mom got sober when I was 5. And by the time I was 6, she was working in addiction treatment recovery. So my mom was a speech and language pathologist. She always worked in the helping professions, but very quickly after getting sober, decided that she wanted to work in addiction treatment. Like a lot of people do, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you actually are able to get your life back. You then want to give back to others. It really is kind of like the nature of the recovery process, I think. So I basically grew up in treatment centers and Alano clubs. So for those of you that are familiar with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, you probably know what an Alano club is or an Alano club is, depending on where in the country you are, you pronounce it differently. But they are community halls where 12-step meetings are held. And so basically my whole childhood from 6 on was spent doing homework or coloring or playing with a doll on the floor of a 12-step meeting. And, my mom sponsored up to like 30 people at a time. So our house was always full of people in early recovery. And I was an only child of a single mother. For most of the time, she got married lots of times, but most of the time it was a single mother. And so, I spent a lot of time in the treatment centers that she worked in as well. And so later when I would actually go into business in that industry, I would often say, like, I feel like I learned this through osmosis. I just was around it all the time. So I got it, right? Like, so, and my mother was very involved in the disease model concept of addiction recovery. And so what that is that, a belief that basically all people that have habitual use turn into addicts at some point. And there is a very strong belief within that group of people that 12-step really is the only way. And that, a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy and 12-step work is this kind of magic key to addiction recovery. So I went on to grow up and, left Utah and went and worked in sports marketing and entertainment marketing. And I'm a marketing and business development person. Those are my passions. That's always what I've loved and what I've been good at. I'm a serial entrepreneur and have always been that as well. But before I had my first son, actually. So I worked on and off with my mother in the addiction treatment facilities that she ran or was a part of or was a clinical director for throughout, my 20s, basically. And after I had my son, Josiah, I started working for another facility that she was contracted with, and there was a whole host of things that happened in that facility, but ultimately we ended up taking it over. And then I eventually launched my own outpatient addiction treatment program. So I worked in the addiction recovery field or industry for about 16 years. And that was so incredibly impactful in my life. We helped a lot of people during that time, but one of the things that we recognized and realized and began to kind of just not sit okay with us was this revolving door of patients coming through treatment centers. And the treatment centers that we worked with were the top of the top, the celebrity facilities where people were paying, $90, $100, $150, sometimes up to $200,000 a month for treatment. And we just saw this revolving door of people never really healing, never really actually, they would make it 5 months or they would make it 6 months. And sometimes they would even make it a year. It's interesting how you said your anxiety started coming up at a year, because we know like that's one of the times that the body and the brain actually, is going through another healing process that does cause that anxiety to kick up. So we were just seeing the recidivism rates in addiction are horrible. And so we were seeing that. And my mother was really in a place where she wanted to start exploring alternative treatments and alternative therapies because she knew that 12-step alone, it just wasn't working. It worked for some people, but it wasn't working for everyone. In fact, it was only working for about 10% of people.
Mhm.
And so she began sending people for alternative treatments, like to Mexico for ibogaine treatments. And because of the nature of who my mom was, and the success that she was actually able to, she went back and got a degree in social work. And so she had private practice, and then she also worked in these treatment centers, right? And contracted with different treatment centers. She was the fixer, the program fixer. So, when the Betty Fords or the Hazeldens of the world, when their clinical programs were struggling, they would contract her to come in and do an evaluation and tell them what needed to be fixed. And then they would never follow those recommendations. But they paid her a lot of money to do that, which was awesome for her. But she was just seeing like it, it wasn't working. And while she was having a lot of success long-term with her patients in private practice, she took a different approach with those patients, right? She was very much a believer in that there was a difference between a lapse and a relapse. And she just really never kind of bought into this very shame-based approach to that if you relapse, you lose everything,
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so she started sending clients for alternative treatments, and those clients were actually having really good success. And so in her practice, she started using these alternative treatments and alternative methods and, lots of different products and things that were helping with brain healing, essentially, and she became a bit of a pariah in the addiction treatment industry because the 12-step folks, the big business treatment 12-step folks didn't like that. They didn't like their former clinical director or their clinical director or someone well-respected in the industry saying, hey, this model's not working. And so ultimately we left the addiction treatment business. I have my own kind of traumatic story of things that happened along the way with that for another podcast at some point. But I really truly believe that, yes, there are people absolutely who are addicts. There are people who are predisposed from a genetic disposition to be addicts. We know that frequently addiction skips a generation. I often will say, like, I didn't become an addict, but it wasn't for lack of trying. I just don't have that in me. Like, I don't have that compulsivity or need. Now, I do have it in other areas of my life, like with work, but I don't have it when it comes to substances. We know it often skips a generation. So it's something that like we need to be really aware of with my children. Like, are they going to carry that genetic predisposition? And so, but the important part there is like the education, and now having tools like CBD, CBG, CBN, cannabis that we can use to help with that. Like it's become a bit of a different world. So that's sort of my exposure, my, where I've come from that. I loved and hated working in addiction treatment. I loved the people that we helped, and I hated seeing so many people just continue to struggle. And I hated seeing a system that wasn't willing to let people go out and try alternative treatments like cannabis.
Yeah.
And so I'm really happy that we're starting to kind of see a bit of an evolution inside the industry. But more than that, I think there's so many people out there right now who are sober curious. There are
Mhm.
people who are recognizing and realizing that abuse or even use, even social use of alcohol or other recreational drugs is just not serving them. And, obviously there's a difference between continued use that then becomes habitual, that we have difficulty not engaging in because it's become habitual, and addiction.
Right.
And so, but the reality is, I'm not sure it matters where you fall on the spectrum, because there are alternative treatments and there are things that can actually help you no matter where you are. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of start this with is I want to give a little bit of information about alcohol in relation to aging and how this impacts us and affects our brain. Because first and foremost, I can look at, I know my demographic of my podcast, and I can look at this event that we're hosting, and like the majority of the people in here are women over 35, right? Yeah. So I want to just talk a little bit about that. And I want to share a little bit about one of the really incredible things is that there is a lot of research and a lot of science being done right now on the impacts of alcohol on the brain. And this is something that we've been wanting to have happen for a really long time. But it's just now that we're actually starting to get some real science and some real data on the long-term effects of alcohol on the brain. So the newest research right now shows that it takes a healthy, non-inflamed, youthful brain that is not negatively impacted by any other inflammation or oxidative or environmental stress, at least 2 weeks to come back to baseline or return to normal, from drinking one drink. That's crazy, right? So to come back to baseline, a normal, and here's the thing, like if we're over 35, you don't have that. You don't have a normal, non-inflamed, youthful brain that's not negatively impacted by inflammation, oxidative stress, or environmental toxins. It doesn't exist because of the kind of food that we're eating, because of the air pollution that we're in, because of like just the stress that we're experiencing in our lives, right? So this is like a teenage brain, basically, right? Once we get to this place where we're over 35, we're looking at more like 3, potentially 4 weeks from one drink. So we can be like, okay, so maybe I just do this on special occasions. Maybe I, save up my drinking for special occasions because now I'm starting to kind of realize the impacts of this. Well, some people could do that. Some people can't, right? We won't really get into that right now. But I want to talk a little bit about how this impacts us once we hit this age of like 35. And the reason that I use 35 is because it is typically the age where women start to make that transition into perimenopause. Even though we may not experience symptoms for, 5, 10, even 15 years, like the body is starting to change. The mitochondria is starting to not function as well. Our stem cells are starting to go dormant in our body. So there are changes that start happening really at 30, but 35 is kind of this like point where it starts like this, unfortunately, right? It's the point where inflammation and oxidative stress starts to catch up with our bodies. Like up until that point, up until our 30s, like the body is regenerating and rejuvenating. It's doing a really good job of turning over cells, of keeping its mitochondria healthy, mitochondrial DNA healthy. It's managing inflammation really well, typically until that point. And I mean, I'm assuming, Jamaica, that you were like me and like I abused my body in my 20s, right? Like I did a lot of drinking. I did a lot of partying. I did a lot of drugs. I, wasn't eating very healthy. I was smoking. I mean, like I abused 100%. My physical vessel. Okay. But I was in my 20s. And so that turnover, like the body is an amazing, miraculous thing. It really has the ability to rejuvenate. But once we start to experience that accumulation of free radicals, and then our body starts entering into states of chronic inflammation, even if that's low-grade chronic inflammation, it starts to really negatively impact the systems of our bodies. So, and that over time, that oxidative stress, that chronic inflammation, even if it's low level, it starts to damage our brain cells. That alone starts to damage our brain cells. Just normal aging, okay? Right. And then it creates tissue loss in the brain. So I want to just talk a little bit about this, like how the brain works, like why this is important. Okay. So as we age, we naturally are losing brain cells. Okay. Our stem cells are turning off and we're losing brain cells, and our mitochondrial DNA, which is really responsible for like ATP production, the energy production in the cells, our mitochondrial DNA stops functioning as well. Okay. So that loss of neurons or loss of brain cells, it occurs in various areas of the brain. Okay. But it largely impacts learning, memory, and then the complex mental processes that our brain does. So after age 35, all of this naturally has begun to shrink. Okay. Just from having lived 35 years.
Right.
And that's a natural part of the aging process. Like everybody's going to experience that. Okay. But drinking alcohol at any level, okay, even in moderation, accelerates, and not only accelerates, but significantly accelerates that shrinkage. So obviously people who drink a ton and drink heavily, like they have more rapid decrease in brain volume than people that drink moderately or who drink socially. But the reality is that those areas of the brain that are responsible for memory, decision-making, balance, those complex mental processes, they are all impacted with any drinking whatsoever. You know, I often am like, oh my gosh, my grandmother lived to 98. Honestly passed away because she was given a COVID jab. But her mental faculties until she was about 97 were on point. Like she had no dementia. She had no memory loss. Like she was sharp as a tack. She never drank alcohol in her life. She also grew her own food and wasn't eating like all kinds of geophosphate and, you know, poison stuff, but she never drank. And it just like, it's really been hitting me recently, like how much damage we actually do. So
Casually.
Yes. And we're seeing so much dementia, early onset dementia, and Alzheimer's. Now,
just going to say this. Yeah.
There's lots of reasons for that, but alcohol is a major contributing factor to this. And the amount of drinking and drug use that was done in the 50s, 60s, and then the 70s, we're now seeing that generation of people with this massive increase in dementia and Alzheimer's. Okay. So the other thing that happens is impaired neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is really like important. Our brain is amazing. Okay. Like it has the ability to heal. It has the ability to grow. It's designed to kind of be in this constant state of learning more, getting bigger, using more brain power. And it has the ability to form new neural connections, right? And adapt. But again, as we age, that naturally decreases. Like that ability to form new neural connections and neural pathways and to really tap into that neuroplasticity of the brain, it decreases. Okay. And again, alcohol consumption, especially after 35, impairs that neuroplasticity function. And so what does that do? Well, it makes it more difficult for us to learn new information. Like we can't pick things up as quickly as we used to be able to. It makes it difficult for us to adapt to new situations, right? So one of the things the brain is really good at is helping us adapt without having crazy levels of stress, right? So it impairs that. And to recover from injury or mini strokes, right? The brain, just like alcohol, impairs the ability to do that. So what happens then is we start to experience mood disorders when the brain isn't able to actually regenerate, create the new neural pathways, and have that high functioning neuroplasticity. We start to experience mood disorders. I'm not going to go into that, but so I think also just it's important to know as we start to launch into this conversation that the hormonal shifts that happen as we age, like particularly the decline in our sex hormones, right? Like estrogen, testosterone, they influence brain volume and structure. Those hormones influence brain structure. Okay. And so when we are, as we're aging, this is why like they often talk about you get this horrible brain fog when you're going through perimenopause, right? It is the reduction of the sex hormones that's actually impacting the abilities, the brain's ability to function properly, which is going to happen. It's just going to happen because you're going to start losing estrogen, you're going to start losing testosterone, and that is naturally going to occur. Well, if we're still drinking after that point, it's going to significantly impact those symptoms that we're experiencing during perimenopause and menopause. It often brings us into the most difficult symptoms of perimenopause and menopause more quickly. And it causes, like, it exacerbates all those symptoms, and it really like causes potentially more long-term health issues. So it disrupts hormone production and metabolism. Okay, alcohol. And obviously, like with women, our hormonal health is always in flux our whole entire life.
I don't think people understand how much hormone balance controls, like how many different things. All these people out here in IG land, they're, drop your this and raise your that to lose weight, to do this, da, da, da. Ask any doctor, balance your hormones and your body will start to balance in general. It's like you said, it's this amazing thing that your body can do, and we're focused on too many symptoms and not the cause.
I'm just going to share a little bit more about how this impacts, and then I actually really would love for you to share on the endocannabinoid system and like the role that plays in helping us actually regulate our endocrine system. Because that I think is really important to understand. So basically, like when our sex hormones are decreasing, our hormonal health is already in flux. Like alcohol destabilizes progesterone and estrogen and testosterone. And so literally you're creating more frequent hot flashes for yourself, night sweats, mood swings, like all of that is being exacerbated by alcohol use. And when I say alcohol use, I'm not meaning binge drinking. I'm talking about the one glass of wine that you're having a few nights a week to take the edge off. It is disrupting your endocrine system. Issues are obviously a huge issue as well as we age. And there is nothing that kills quality of sleep like alcohol. Like it is a poison and a toxin. And so, yeah. And then obviously then that sets off irritability and, it's just
sleep.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I guess the other thing that I really just want to share, because this is such a huge issue, and I think most women don't understand how important it is to actually be thinking about our bone health. Menopause increases bone loss. Okay. It's part of what happens as we transition into the later years of our lives, is that we increase risk of bone loss. So alcohol interferes with calcium absorption, okay, and vitamin D metabolism. So like I'm a person that has bottomed out vitamin D levels and have had since I got COVID, actually. Like COVID really impacts vitamin D levels, but I could never get my vitamin D levels up to a normal level because I was socially drinking. It just impairs that, right? And calcium absorption and vitamin D metabolism is crucial for bone health.
Yeah.
You do not want to have osteoarthritis or osteoporosis as you age, okay? You don't want that. And we are all struggling with that. Obviously, then there's the hormonal weight gain. You will not lose weight if you're drinking alcohol. You can't. It's impossible because alcohol actually shuts down fat metabolism for up to 45 48 hours after your last drink. So you've got these people that are out there working out, they're doing all the things, they're trying to lose weight, they're gaining the hormonal weight, and they're like, why can't I lose the weight? I'm restricting calories, I'm working out, I'm doing, it's like, you're not burning fat, and you're not going to burn fat as long as you're drinking.
Right.
Alcohol also, once we get to age 35, like continuing to drink alcohol increases our risk for breast cancer. It really negatively impacts our cardiovascular health. And that's because estrogen has such an important role in the proper functioning and the health of our heart. Alcohol raises blood pressure. It's a contributor to heart disease. And then liver function obviously is a huge well. And as we age, like our liver is naturally declining in its ability to properly detox our body. So the same amount of alcohol that you consumed in your 20s, you cannot consume in your 30s. Okay. And it just declines as you age. So it will have a more pronounced effect on your liver in your 30s than it did in your 20s, and then in your 40s than it did in your 30s. It's in a constant state of decline. And so what that means is that the more we choose, like if we continue to choose to drink after 35, we are choosing to do damage to our liver that unfortunately, like that's an area that it's very difficult or impossible to undo. And then mental health, we can talk about that as well. But yeah, so I just wanted to share a little bit about that because I think it's important for people to actually understand the choice to have one drink, the choice to, continually be socially drinking. And, for those that are still binge drinking or are drinking, not in moderation, drinking heavily every day, to sort of understand like what the implications are of that. So I would love for you to just explain a little bit about the endocannabinoid system, because I think a lot of people don't recognize that like we have this. So we actually already have these compounds in our system. Right. And that's why it's important for us to have them. So I would love for you to share a little bit about endocannabinoid system, and then also like, how that system actually helps regulate our endocrine system.
Yeah. So the reason why we don't know about the ECS is because the endocannabinoid system is because I think, and I could have my stats wrong on this, but I think it's around 11% of medical schools teach it. So this whole nother discussion, this is like a rabbit hole about, founding fathers basically wanting to make money and keeping this out of medical books from way, way, way back when. Hemp used to be one of our number one crops. We used it for everything. You can literally use hemp to make construction materials. Yeah. So, a long time ago, the money mongers, they changed all this. This was never put into medical books. So now over the last, 2 decades, so the ECS is going to blow your mind, but the ECS wasn't even discovered. I mean, technically it was discovered years ago. It wasn't rediscovered basically until the late 90s. The freaking 90s is when medicine finally was like, oh my gosh, we have this whole other system in our body. A whole system that we have basically been neglecting for years, decades, generations. And so, yes, your endocannabinoid system is your master regulator. It regulates every system in your entire body, which amazes you even more that it was ignored or has been ignored for this long. So the one thing that, balances your hormones and your nervous system and, all these things, we basically just like ignored it, neglected it for forever. So think of your whole body like a Christmas tree. And without any CBD or when we're walking through every day, we have a few strands of lights on our tree, and they each represent a different system. So each strand of light, you got your endocannabinoid system, you have your respiratory system, muscular, all the things. And like a string of lights, if a bulb goes out or fuse goes out, the entire string will go out. The entire strand of lights will stop working. Or maybe part of the strand of lights will stop working. So what the endocannabinoid system does is it talks to the receptors of all of your different systems. So if your respiratory system isn't, if all of its lights aren't lit up, it tells your endocannabinoid system, hey, I'm in distress here. And your endocannabinoid system goes back, tells your respiratory system, okay, we're going to send down natural cannabinoids. And they're almost like, I like to think of them like putty. It's like, you're putting a hole, kind of. But basically, the cannabinoids go in there and they screw in that new bulb or that fuse that makes the entire string of lights bright again. So basically, because we have been ignoring it, we're just walking around with no lights on. It's very, very hard to like conceptualize because almost nobody is using CBD, and if they are, they most likely aren't using the proper CBD. It's been out of our systems for so long. It really makes me wonder. I mean, this is like decades away from finding out like how it really has affected how we've evolved, because we've effectively changed our body system, chemicals, and everything by just completely not paying attention to this. So there's cannabinoids in your breast milk. This is a compound that's like in you and it's supposed to be in you. So this is a vitamin that we are incredibly depleted in. I'm talking the worst depletion you could possibly imagine. So what we do is hemp has the closest cannabinoids. It also makes cannabinoids, and it's the closest thing to what our human cannabinoids are like. And what it does is it goes in and it basically fills in the blanks. It fills in the parking space, closes all those gaps. So CBD is just like a general cannabinoid. So there's over 150 different cannabinoids. There's CBA, just like vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin D. There's CBA, there's CBDA, there's CBD, CBDG, there's CBN, and they all do something different. But CBD is like the basic general, the one that's like, it's like the water version of CBD. It's in everything. So it's the one that we make the most. It's the one that is the most common in hemp. When you get CBD, you break it down into CBN, CBG. That's all drawn out of the CBD. So CBD is almost like it's got all of them, right? So you're going to take the CBD. This is why we take it. It's to supplement vitamin D or anything else. We are supplementing our cannabinoids and our endocannabinoid system. We take the CBD, our endocannabinoid system reads like, oh gosh, I have more CBD in my system. I can use this for that knee pain I got going on. I'm going to send that down to my knee pain. But because I recognize what this is, I'm also going to start making more natural CBD. So taking a legitimate, good, clean CBD actually helps your body to start kicking in that CBD creation process for your body naturally. And that is why you can hear people talk about like maybe they stop taking CBD for a little while, or they'll take breaks from time to time. They can do that because just like anything else, like collagen, anything, it builds up in your system and will start creating its own. It's just that we've been so many decades without it. I don't know that we would ever get to a point to where we could just like make it on our own enough ever again. I truly believe this is something that needs to be supplement in everyone. I'm talking adults to children. I give it to my toddlers. Um, and that's the gist. I mean, it's really not like crazy complicated. If I were to show you a picture, your endocannabinoid system, like I said, it runs from the tip of your head all the way down to the tip of your toes. It talks to every single part of your body, and it lets your body know what it needs to do to be functioning at its optimum level at all times. So balance, when it comes to like maybe quitting drinking or your anxiety, it goes in and it goes, oh, okay, we need a little dopamine here, we need a little less serotonin over here, we need, this, and it does all of those things all at once, which, I won't get into anxiety meds, but they aren't doing that, basically. So, I mean, that's the gist of it. It's pretty simple. It's just people don't understand that this was meant to be in our body, and now we just don't have it. It's like so hard to explain that to people.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's so interesting, right, is that, we aren't taught about aging. So we aren't actually taught in school about the shifts and changes that happen to the body naturally as the body ages. And obviously there's a huge movement towards, I mean, clearly that's what I'm doing, what I'm passionate about. There's a huge movement towards super aging and longevity and living life vital. And so, there's a huge movement across this planet right now of people that are really interested in these things. But we've done such a disservice to humanity to not be training and teaching our children how to preserve
from the start,
the optimal functioning of these processes and of these symptoms. So obviously, like, as we age, there are things that naturally happen, and typically the reduction in the systems, the proper functioning of the systems, it has to do with oxidative stress and environmental and stress factors. Okay. So the better we can do about like actually our day-to-day living is what helps to actually like maintain proper functioning of those systems. There's a lot of research being done on reverse aging right now, and there's a lot of really good products that actually help with that. I'm going to be talking about a couple that I use later in the week when it comes to actually reversing that process, reverse aging. But we've got to look at the preventative things that we can be doing to help support that. And I really believe that like supplementation of CBD, CBG, CBN is really something that we can do when it comes to that. But I just want to share like the problem is that most people don't even actually understand something as simple as stem cell production.
Right.
Stem cell production, that 50% of your stem cells go dormant when you turn, like by the time you're 30. 90% by the time you're 60.
I think it's 25 is when it really starts to significantly decrease.
Yeah. So we've got all these systems that are not functioning properly, right? So with the endocannabinoid system, our levels, right? The levels that we have in our body, they naturally decrease as we get older. And then we have enzyme changes that happen in our body as well. So the enzymes that are responsible for actually synthesizing and breaking down those endocannabinoids in our system, they get less as we get older. So then we're not actually synthesizing the compounds within our own body well. That supplementation actually helps with that synthesis process as well.
Yes.
Then our receptors, our cannabinoid receptors change. They alter with age, right? As we're experiencing the decline of the brain and the reduction of the tissue, then the receptors are actually impacted. So then how the body can actually respond to both natural cannabinoids and the supplements, right? And then it all kind of has this like impact on our physiological function. So that's, again, like our cognitive function, our mood regulation, our pain perception. And so it's really important that we do support this system for healthy aging. And yeah, it's fascinating when we start to look at like when they remove things that were such an integral part of our life, like hemp, for example, and what replaced it? Plastic, right? So we took a natural product and a natural fiber when, for example, if we were wearing hemp clothing next to our skin, we're receiving the properties of that fabric, the properties of that cannabinoid fabric, right, on our skin. So we say, no, we're not going to make hemp clothes anymore. We're going to start growing cotton. And then we're going to start mass producing plastic using the petroleum companies, right? And then we're going to start making clothes out of nylon and polyester, right? Now we have a toxin, plastic, next to our skin, going into our skin.
Right.
So clearly that impacts this endocannabinoid system's ability to properly function because we're taking out the environmental factors that were supporting it in the first place. And so I think that's kind of like what you were speaking about there and what you were talking about there. Yeah, it's a real shame like what we've done, but let's now move into talking about how we can actually support this system. We are incredibly like blessed to be partnered with this company, Frequence, that makes amazing, clean products that have COAs, certificate of authenticity. So I would love for you to just share, actually just right at the beginning of this, I'm having some elbow pain and I like slapped elbow and it's already feeling better. Like now, just like we've been on here for how long have we been on? We've been on an hour. I think I put it on about 30 minutes ago and it's, yeah, like already.
Yeah, gone. It doesn't take long at all. Yeah. Which I think is amazing with the skin, but.
Yeah, I know that you've used lots of different CBD products. And so I would love for you to just share a little bit about, so I think one of the things that, well, let's talk about CBG first.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of people know what CBD is or have an idea of what it is. A little, like most people know what that is, right?
Yeah,
and then, people like I think are beginning to be educated and kind of know what CBN is, which is another compound, but not many people know about CBG. Right. And when I started researching CBG and I found out about CBG, I was freaking blown away. Because, I understood at least enough about the endocannabinoid system and how CBG worked. And then, started using some CBN stuff for sleep here and there and was like having good experience with that. But then when I had no idea what CBG was before Frequence. And then I started researching it and I'm like, whoa, like I'm super interested in mitochondrial function and mitochondrial DNA health and stem cells. Like, it's just something that like I'm geeking out on at the moment. And like, this compound CBG, it's the mother compound, right? Like it's like if you drink what's it called? If you're like an ACV person, like, and you used to buy Bragg's before they sold out to like whatever company they sold out to, and you would always want the apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. Like CBG is the mother. Okay.
Yeah.
CBG it's the stem cell of the cannabinoid plant. So it is literally the precursor from which all other cannabinoids are derived, including THC, CBD, CBN, right? And it's so powerful because its health benefits are crazy. So I'm just going to give a little disclaimer here because we are actually going to be talking about some products on this call. Frequence is a multi-level marketing company and an affiliate opportunity. And so its products do not heal, cure, treat any disease, any illness. They are intended to be used from a health and wellness perspective to alleviate or relieve symptoms, right? But they do not heal, cure, or treat any disease. So that's the disclaimer for the products we're going to be speaking about. But I do want to talk to you about how crazy powerful CBG is. Its potential health benefits, and they're just obviously really starting to do the research and test on it. But its preliminary studies and early stages really suggest that it is the most neuroprotective cannabis compound. So, and as far as I'm concerned, the brain is everything. Because if the brain isn't properly functioning, none of the other body systems work, right? So we have to protect the brain, which is why if you understood the impact of alcohol on the brain, you would never drink again. You understood how serious it is and how important it is that we actually protect the brain. So CBG is neuroprotective in nature, right? So it can safeguard us from all of this stuff that we've been talking about, the environmental toxins, the oxidative stress. Like regular supplementation of CBD is neuroprotective. Like that's huge to me. You know what I mean? And so CBG also has huge, there's tons of tests coming out around its ability to relieve anxiety symptoms. So to relieve that feeling of anxiousness, and that is, I think that's so important, especially when we're talking about deciding to become alcohol or drug free. Naturally, what occurs is a heightened level of anxiety. For me, like, even though, I wasn't an alcoholic, there have been periods of my life where I've drank more than others, but stopping drinking alcohol entirely, I hit probably the third month, and I started feeling feelings that I probably hadn't felt. I started drinking when I was 13. So I hadn't felt since I was 13. And it was really uncomfortable, and it caused a significant amount of anxiety in my life. Now, I was really lucky that I was introduced to these products 8 months ago. So I've had them for a large portion of my journey, being alcohol free. But anxiety and feelings of anxiousness, and for those that experience panic attacks, like, that is crippling. It is something in life that, it just makes everything so difficult to deal with. So lots and lots of research happening with CBG in relation to anxiety. It's, as far as I'm concerned, like, this is the game changer in addiction treatment. But I would love to hear from you. Like, talk to us about CBG and the properties. I mean, there's so many other things. It promotes digestive health, right? Is one of the big things with it. So, and we know that, like, gut health with alcohol use, it just gets destroyed. So it rebalances health. Like, tell us what else with CBG.
So the biggest thing, you're 100%. I totally agree with you. This is and should have already completely changed addiction. Addiction should be a different thing. Should be a different conversation today, because we've always had this. Because the one thing people, as you just mentioned it, the biggest struggle when you're in that journey, it doesn't matter where you are in the journey, your body is trying to re-regulate. So you're so lucky that you had that, because the CBD was helping your body to regulate while you were also making the change. Quitting alcohol cold turkey can be so, so dangerous. And so I always tell people, if you're going to do anything, grab CBD, because I can't prove it, but that is the safest way I know how to tell anyone to try and quit on their own that may have a physical issue. CBG is the king of anti-inflammatory anything. It takes away every ounce of inflammation in your entire body. I would almost guarantee you, if you start taking this daily, you are not going, the common cold, the flu, all that stuff, it is going to dissipate like that. I had COVID twice. I was sick all the time, obviously, because I was drinking. So my immune system was crap. I have been taking CBG now for almost 2 years. And I have not been majorly sick one time. Not once. That is 100%. There's not, maybe I had a sniffle a few months ago. I can't remember when it was. It never lasted more than a couple of hours. CBG is one of those things that if I even feel my lymph glands, I've done a few posts on this actually. If I even feel my lymph glands get swollen, I have 2 different CBD products that I particularly use, but I will go have some, and within 30 minutes to an hour, I will feel that have dissipated. So like you said, CBG is kind of like the king of all cannabinoids. And here's the thing, inflammation is like the leader to most issues in our body, mental or physical, So I truly believe that is why it does such an amazing job at even relieving the anxiety. 100%. It's okay. This is a funny compound. So it can absolutely help you sleep, and it can also keep you wide awake. Like, it's just one of those things that it basically, again, like it figures out where your brain or your whatever it needs to be, and it's going to go to town on that spot. So, to me, it's just a fascinating thing because it can do two completely opposite things. But no matter what, whatever it's doing, you can trust that that is what your body needs right now, So there's so many different ways you can use it. There's so many different things you can use it for. You can use it, like I said, in the morning for anxiety. You can use it on demand. It's going to hit I should say, that it hits your system a little bit quicker than just a straight CBD. Um, but that's me. I actually have multiple people who have switched to the particular CBD that you and I are using, that also, so it's CBD plus CBG. And they feel it within a couple days. All other CBDs that I have used, or I have had people use, or are currently using, it was about a 30-day, just like a medication. It took about 30 days for them to start like feeling the differences, the changes. I was floored when one of my clients called me the next day and was like, I felt that immediately. And I was like, wow, really? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, it's amazing to me that when you combine those two, and it's a little confusing because CBD is the one that everybody makes and mass produces. So you're like, I don't understand. So CBG is basically boosting the anti-inflammatory uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Property of CBD. It's like an ultra booster, but you can take it by yourself, and it's by itself, and it's going to do a lot of good things too. So they have it in a lot of skin products. I have a makeup artist who puts it in her moisturizer, because it's anti-inflammatory for the skin. So if you were to have redness of any kind, you can literally put CBD straight on your face as a nighttime routine and put it in your moisturizer. You can use this in a million different ways. CBG is like that. You got to have those two. They're like the building blocks, and then the rest is just boosters.
Yeah. So amazing. And I just want to like clarify for those that may be new to cannabis, like these properties, these compounds that we're talking about, they are non-psychoactive. So these are not going to get you high. And in fact, like the products that we're going to be talking to you about in just a minute, they have certificates of authenticity that there is absolutely no psychoactive compounds in them. However, one of the things that I will say about CBG that is amazing is that it has like almost a euphoric impact on the system. So it has the only way I can explain it is I experience this like lifting feeling. Like it creates this kind of lightness of being. And it is known for that. So while it's not psychoactive and it's not causing, it doesn't have psychoactive properties, it does have this kind of euphoric effect that can be felt from it. And I just want to read, like, these are some things that are being researched and that are being shown in research that CBG and CBD are helping treat. Okay. So pain relief is huge. Anxiety and panic disorder relief. These are being used for depression relief, anti-inflammation. We talked about that. Like it reduces and inhibits inflammation in the body. Both of those compounds, CBD, CBG, what I'm talking about right now is both of these compounds do this. Okay. They are antibacterial. So they slow bacterial growth in the system, which is why people don't get sick, right? They are also antiviral. So that's why, like when you're putting these compounds into your body regularly, your immune system is supported. Both of these compounds inhibit and reduce tumor growth. And so that's important. They're being, obviously THC and CBD and CBN have long been used in cancer treatment. And that was I think that was actually the precipice of what led to us actually doing more study and understanding more was the use of these compounds in cancer treatment. CBG, not CBD, but CBG can stimulate the appetite. So if you're somebody that struggles with low appetite, CBG can definitely help with that. Both are antioxidants. So both inhibit damage to the cells by removing free radicals. And that's important when we talk about aging and that oxidative stress. Like these compounds are going to help to support that. They're neuroprotectant, both of them. We talked about that. That's important. They're both a sleep aid. So they help with insomnia. They help with restlessness in the night. Like, I don't know about you, but that's one of my favorite things. CBG helps with energy and focus. That is not CBD, but CBG specifically, the focus aspect and energy. CBG is powerful for that. Both of them help and assist with withdrawal and cravings from alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, nicotine. So both of them assist with that. We talked about that. CBD really helps with the bone growth and healing, which we talked about, really important with arthritis and osteoporosis as we're aging. CBD is an anti-epileptic, so it helps to reduce seizures. It lowers blood sugar and helps with diabetes. It helps with nausea relief. CBG has been shown to assist with bladder dysfunction. That's a place I know that they're doing a lot of research with it right now, is how it actually impacts the bladder and the urinary tract. Has been shown to help with UTIs as well. So if you're somebody who frequently suffers with UTIs, CBG is a great thing to be supplementing. CBD increases cardiovascular heart health and lowers blood pressure. CBG assists with intestinal and bowel problems, the stomach and like the gut, all of that, the lining, like the repair. It's amazing in that way. CBG specifically is being shown to be incredibly powerful with managing symptoms of ADD and ADHD. So those are just some things that this does. As you can see, like it's wide ranging, it's wide reaching. So Frequence, we've got 2 products. Well, we have 3 actually. Our Bedtime Bestie, our Sync product, which is a sleep product, has CBD and CBN in it. But I really want to focus on these 2 today, because these, I think, are the unsung heroes or the dark horses of the Frequence product line for sure. I take Balance at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. This is a CBD CBG tincture. It is odorless, it is tasteless, and it has 1,500 milligrams per bottle. So it is extremely high dose. And our Frequence products, if you're not aware, are all infused with 11 harmonic frequencies. So this is powerful as well, because what these frequencies do, 9 of them actually bring the organs and meridian systems into balance in the body. One of them is an immune support frequency, and one of them is a grounding frequency. So this CBD and CBG product is infused with 11 harmonic frequencies, which I think is what makes this product really, really special. The other thing I will tell you that blows me away, and I was actually just in Thailand and purchasing some CBD products, some other CBD products. The price of this is insane. To get 1,500 milligrams in a bottle for $99, like this anywhere else is almost $200.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really wild. Like and the other products don't have the frequency. So
well,
go ahead.
And the other products are, 9 out of 10 bottles are mislabeled. 90% of CBD is mislabeled. It's a completely unregulated market, so they can do and say whatever they want. Nobody is making sure that it is what it is. So
yeah,
and then on top of it, you're spending $200, 100%. Like anything over 750 NGs, you're definitely spending more than $100.
Yeah. So we love that because of the commitment of Frequence to the quality of products, the purity of the products. Like I said, there are certificates of authenticity with all of the cannabis products that are produced by Frequence. So tell me a little bit about how you use Balance. I know this is one of your favorite products as well.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if you wanted me to show them, so I didn't bring them in with me. But so I use Balance. I used these originally to deal with my stress and my anxiety. So I use them almost like I would anxiety medication. But the thing about CBD that I want people to understand is that we should be taking this whether we have an issue or not. you mentioned something so important here. And if you don't know about frequencies, but one thing we've learned recently is that you can't have a chemical imbalance unless the governing frequency is also out of balance. And the whole thing we're talking about here is really getting the root cause of things so that we can move forward and not continually treating symptoms. So you're getting double the medicine, double the healing in one tiny little product. So I take a full dropper in the morning. I use this 3 times a day. I use it under my tongue and I hold it under there for 60 seconds or longer, which let me tell you is not easy to do. But we have fun with it in the mornings. My kids even get into it. But so I use a full dropper in the morning, I use a full dropper in the afternoon, and I use a full dropper before bed. Um, if I feel a panicky feeling or intense amount of stress, I'm having one of those days, I will go have another dropper of it. You cannot overdose, you cannot overdo CBD. It does not bind to the receptors like alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So it's never going to tell your brain or your heart to stop. Like it's never going to tell them to not do what they need to do. So if you feel like you need it, there is no reason not to go and get that. Like to me, that's my body is telling me that I'm out of balance. Even if this were an addict move, I'm putting something in my body that is 100% hurting, helping and not hurting me. It's helping things I don't even know that it's helping. The number one complaint I have from any CBD user is it's not doing anything. And I always tell them, and I mean, it's hard advice, but what I say is stop taking it. Stop taking it for a week. And I mean that. Stop taking it, because what happens with CBD is because of its silly social relation to THC, people automatically assume that they're going to have like this physical feeling or this physical high, not like what she describes. And let me just say, like, this is 100% honest. Every time I talk to people about CBD, I give them multiple options of clean, reputable CBD. That's just me. But I am telling you, this CBD CBG combination is the only one I've ever had where people have not given me this complaint. Normally what they say is it feels like it's not working. And the thing is, people are expecting to feel something like when you have that glass of wine. I'm going to feel relaxed. I'm going to have that blood flow, feeling or whatever. And you're not. What it is the loss of feeling. And you have to almost get those feelings back to realize, oh crap, I wasn't feeling that a week ago. So yeah, I mean, this product is incredible. It can be used as much as possible. Again, no claims whatsoever, but if you are a parent that is at all concerned about medications that are being very, very heavily recommended, this is the first place you need to go. You can use it any other way you want. I do have people who put it in their drinks. The best way to use it though is under your tongue, because it gets into your bloodstream. We could go into a whole conversation about
we should just not don't put it in your drinks.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's teach people how to use it properly. Because when I see people put it in their drinks, I'm like, yeah, like you're not getting the full benefit.
Stop! I was gonna say we can go into
anything. It's overload.
Yeah, we can go into a whole conversation about absorption, which is
already having difficulty absorbing stuff.
Yes,
okay?
Yes.
Into your gut, just put it under your tongue.
And hold it there as long as you can. Truly, truly, truly. I know it sounds stupid and silly, but seriously, that's how you're going to get the most amount in your system as possible. Like, we only have about a 5% absorption rate of what you put in there to begin with, So yeah, that's not all wives' tales or hoo-ha. Like that is 100% true. Put it under your tongue. You're not going to get the benefits from putting it in your food or your drinks. It's not THC. Please don't treat it like that. So it's just like a vitamin, and you need to take it every single day. And basically what I do with people is we kind of establish like a baseline, and then we go from there. Then maybe half a dropper is your baseline. And that way when you have those panicky moments, you can go up to 3/4 of a dropper or a full dropper. This isn't about like Prozacking yourself all day long. Does that make sense? Like this is about finding that proper balance so that, like you said, we're supporting the system so that it can do the job. We're not trying to do the job for it. We're just trying to get it going so it can do the job on its own.
Yeah. So, and then the other product that has the CBD and the CBG in it is their cream. And this cream, you guys, oh my gosh, first of all, it smells amazing. It is only scented with pure essential oils. It is a shea butter like base. It's really creamy. It goes on so easily. It smells amazing, and it works so fast. This has become like I don't even know. Like we use this I live in Bali. I'm constantly getting bit and stung by bugs, like put this on a mosquito bite, no swelling, no itching, right? I work out. I have been, in fact, the last 2 days in so much pain because I hard on my legs, and I'm like
sunburn,
where I can't sit down on the toilet. I slather my legs in this and I get relief within like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Great for sunburn.
Nerve pain. I know that sounds crazy, but it will attack nerve pain. I'm telling you, the pain that you just cannot, like, I promise you, try that.
Discomfort.
Yeah. Discomfort. Thank you. Yes.
Discomfort. Does not
discomfort. Yeah. Right.
FTP. This does not treat pain.
And honestly, I don't even know if that's it. I just know it's discomfort in my knees, and
yeah. And so, I think like I have a lot of, and I think, if you are a woman that's going into perimenopause, the joint pain is real, y'all. Like, and it's amazing to me how quickly this gets into, like, I'm talking into my elbows, into my knees, into my shoulders, just from a topical application. I mean, the skin is an amazing organ, right? It absorbs these properties so quickly. But the beauty of these compounds is, like Jamaica said, they know where to go. So when your body is setting off these pain signals, like my elbow is hurting, my shoulder is hurting, I'm itching. So the product goes into the body, and then the endocannabinoid system recognizes that it's got more of it to send somewhere, and it knows what's struggling. So then it sends it to that area. It's, I just think the human body is so amazing and miraculous. And when we have products like this that can actually help ease our day-to-day experiences, like, I love these products so much. Like, I will never be without them. This product is $100. This product is $100. Again, like, this is 2,000 milligrams per container. You are never going to find this at this price anywhere. And they are infused with the harmonic frequencies, which I absolutely love. So the reason I wanted to talk about this so much was Jamaica and I have been meaning to do this anyway, because we're both like obsessed with these products and we love them so much. But Frequency is having a Black Friday special right now. And there are 2 packs that have these products in them, and they are the most incredible value, and you're getting tons of free gifts. So I believe that I should check this just to be sure, so I can tell you exactly how much the pack is with these 2 products and what you get.
I can tell you US dollars.
Yeah. So,
and menstrual cramps. I don't know if anybody has kids or if you have issues with cramps.
Yeah, I use it when I have menstrual cramps, and also growing pains on your kids.
Yeah.
And my son is really struggling with migraines and headaches right now. And this is the first way that I treat him. I just put it all, I slather his whole forehead in it.
Yeah.
So I can't find my flyer, Jamaica. Is it
So it's $1.99.
Okay.
The pack. So there's one pack with the 2 CBD items. So the cream and the tincture. And then it comes with a straw. So that one comes with a frequency charged straw.
The roller ball.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah. So you get these 2 products for $1.99. And the Black Friday special is that in addition to that, you get a frequency tuned straw that is charged with the same frequency. So anything you drink through that, you're getting that frequency. It's charging your body. And then there is also a Relieve roller ball of essential oils that is frequency tuned as well that you're getting. So it's like a $280 value that you're getting for $199 in that pack. And then we have a full product line pack. That's everything in the Frequency line. If you've been wanting to try Frequency, if you've been curious about the other products, I personally use every single one of them. Everyone in my family uses every product. There is a nootropic, there is a trace mineral. So you can get the whole product line for, I think, about $530. And there's a frequency charged water bottle in there.
You get everything free. You get everything.
Pack. So I really encourage you, if you were introduced to this group by me, just send me a message and I'll get you links and information on these 2 packs. I'm also going to post them in the group now, though, so that you'll know exactly what the packs are that have these products in them. But if you were referred to this group by somebody else, like Jamaica, for example, go back to her and get her link. I'm not going to post my link. So if you were referred to this group by me and you want to try these products, just send me a message and I'll get you my link. But I will post the packs in the group. These are Black Friday specials. They are going fast. So I really do recommend, if you want to try these products, like, now is the time. Definitely, like, the value that came from Frequency on these Black Friday packs blew my mind. So yeah. And we just wanted to share, like, I wanted to get on and really share, because this is one of the things that I am doing to support health and longevity. And for me, like, I will tell you, ultimately, like, I'm doing a lot to heal my body. And so this is like a must for me, but I am obsessed with neuroprotection and rejuvenating my brain, and also just allowing my brain to function properly, and to undo the damage that I did from years of social drinking. This product, like, it's every day, and sometimes twice a day. I find, for me, if I take this first thing in the morning, I don't need it unless something really stressful happens in my life. Like, having some things happening with my son from a health perspective. Like, I definitely took the bottle with me to the hospital when we went to the emergency room. But if I take this first thing in the morning, which I do before my coffee, like, while I'm making my coffee, I literally put this in, let it sit there while I'm making my coffee. If I take this every day, like, I don't have those anxiety issues. I don't have that anxiousness. I'm not struggling with that. So if you are somebody that has any of this stuff that we've talked about, like, I really feel like it's worth trying.
And you know what, let me preface by saying, like you said, you a really good point, because most people only need to take it once. So I don't want anybody to think because I take it 3 times a day, it's an issue. However, for those of you who think you have the worst anxiety in the world and no one understands, no one has it as bad as you, because trust me, I talk to a lot of people who say that, and I get it. I get that feeling. I am that person. I am that person that has taken, I can tell you about every single anxiety medication, every single anxiety technique, coping, everything. Like, I have all of the tools. And this gets me through every single day. A completely different person than I was even a year ago post sobriety. So I don't want you to think that, like, it'll work whether you have no anxiety or you have a ton of anxiety. So I want people to understand that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was, like, so great. You have so much information on this stuff, and I'm excited for you to share more on this. But yeah, if this is you, give these products a shot. And I think both, I speak for both Jamaica and I, if you're sober curious or you're somebody that's thinking about changing your relationship with alcohol, like we're here to talk to, even if it's just like you're beginning to think about it and you've got questions, like we're here to support you. You can message either one of us. Jamaica again is, and we'll put this in the link of the podcast, but Jamaica is at Sober CBD Mom on Instagram.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
All right. Ciao, ciao, everybody. Till next time.